Hi there, Janet Fritz here for Galaxy Girl Creations. Welcome to my channel. Welcome to another Kit Conspiracy bonus video. I am having trouble talking today, you guys. This is using the uh, Pretty Little Studio Ginger Snap collection. And I am using some not wood veneer, not acrylic, chipboard out of the some assemblage required shop. This is from Dusty Attic, and MK carries a bunch of their products over there. And so I'm going to use this, but I'm going to go ahead and use a little bit of gesso to cover it up because I know I'm going to paint it. And when you paint the chipboard, the watercolor type paints tend to just soak right in and the colors are not as vibrant. So I like to go with a coating of heavy white gesso over the top, and I like to just smoosh it on there using one of my ink dauber tools. And the reason for that is if you use a paintbrush, a lot of times you get the gesso stuck in the little crevices between all of the flowers. And by tapping it on there with the gesso, I don't have that problem. So I have a single photo here of my niece at her baby shower, and then her mom is with her. And so I'm going to go ahead and uh, use that, and I'm going to go with just this central um, column on my layout, and I think it looks really good. I'm really happy with the way it comes out. Now, in the photo, they both just happen to be wearing greens, so I'm going to take some Shimmers paint in a couple of different colors, and I am going to go ahead and um, do a little bit of watercolor on the background. I also have um, a purple, which is called Honeymoon. I have a yellowy orange called Dandelion. I have All of You Truly, I'm Not Limon, Honeydew List. Pining for You is the darkest green, and then So Sappy is that brownish color. I'm going to be using those on the flowers. So these are not all going on the background, they are going on the flowers as well. So just using, I'm not exactly sure what color is going to go where at this point while I'm creating, but I know I'm going to use some of them. So I'm going to go ahead and get all of them wet. Now that So Sappy does come already wet, but the other ones come as dry little pots and you just spray some water in there to reactivate them. And so I'm going to do some packaging technique. I'm just going to put some of the All of You Truly it right on top of, at least I think that's All of You Truly. I'm going to put some of that right on top of this package that has a stamp on it. This is a shiplap wood grain stamp from Tailored Expressions. Now I'm not using the stamp on this other than to apply the ink. And I'm going with a really light application of it. I don't want to really make it a whole lot darker. So it does add a little bit of sparkle, but it doesn't add a lot of dark color to this particular layout. Now I'm using a little bit of Pining for You to sprinkle over the wet paint that I've already got going on there, and that's going to make it bloom right into the paint that's already wet. I didn't really let it set up and dry before sprinkling, so that's going to give an added like uh, splotchy look to this particular layout. And then I did go over it with some of the other greens as well with a little bit of sprinkle. Now I found that the Honeymoon, which is the purple color, was a little bit too purple. I want it a little bit more wine colored, so I just put some on my brush and then I tapped a little bit of the Merlot Catherine Pooler ink onto my media mat there, my glass mat. Um, and I am picking it up using the paintbrush that already has the purple in it. So it makes it a little bit more wine colored, but not completely wine colored. So I like how that's looking. And then I just am using the other colors to go ahead and um, do some soft kind of a little bit more of the pastel look on these um, sprigs. So I like the way that this looks. I think it's really cute. It has like a bit of a, what looks to me like wheat in it. And so I'm going soft. I'm not going with any bright colors. I'm just gonna kind of keep it simple. And I like it. And I think it goes really well with the greens that they are wearing in the photograph. And so I think I'm trying to just play off of that and keep it a little bit more muted rather than bright. So you could certainly go over this multiple times and it would definitely brighten it up a little bit, but that wasn't really my goal. So, and off camera, I just have a cup of water sitting up at the top and I'm just rinsing my brush periodically in there. I'm not too worried about rinsing between greens, but obviously between the purple and the green, I'll rinse. And same with the orangey yellow there. And then I'll have to set that over to the side to let it finish drying because it's not going to soak in. It's going to sit right on top of that gesso, which is going to give it the brighter color than it would if it had not been gessoed. It would have just soaked right into that chipboard and still had kind of like a grungy background to it, I guess. I don't know how to really describe that, but it wouldn't have the boldness that it does. Now, I'm saying it bold, but I'm not, it's not really bold, but you really wouldn't be able to see it very well without the gesso. So I did hit it with my heat gun just a little bit because I wanted to keep working on this particular layout and I wanted to dry a few of the areas and add a little bit more color, especially in that purple and in that orangey color. Um, so they would be just a little bit brighter in some areas than others. Add a bit of gold Heidi Swap color shine to the background as well because I want to add a little bit more um, sparkle to it. And so I'm just using a really old bottle of Heidi Swap color shine, which is not available anymore that I'm aware of. And um, I really like the way that that ends up looking. And then I'm using a piece of packaging as a layer behind my photograph, and then I'm going to offset it so it's mostly showing on the right hand side. Then I will take some labels to the left hand side to kind of balance out the lighter white color that this uh, packaging piece is going to bring to the right hand side. I did ink it all up with some frayed burlap Distress Oxide ink, and I really like how that looks, just to give it an added little oomph and some added dimension off the edge of the packaging there. And again, I'm keeping this really simple with a central column, and my title is going to say Here and Now, and I'm using more of these gold letters, and I think these are still from Pink Fresh Studio. They tend to be a little bit more on the yellowy gold. Um, I don't have the packaging sitting in front of me right now, so I don't know that these are for sure. They're either thickers or they're from Pink Fresh. So I used a kind of a combination of both since I had both in my stash and they had a very similar vibe to them. I am using liquid glue, Nouveau Deluxe adhesive, to adhere the chipboard to my background, and that's going to just hold everything in place. And I use an acrylic block right over the top until that sets up, as you can see there. It just kind of acts as my third hand and holds it in place while I work on something else until the glue sets up, which is not very long. It's a matter of really just a couple of minutes, you guys. It doesn't take very long at all. I am taking care to center these floral pieces. So I was using a centering ruler there so I could see that it was lined up. And then I'm going to use some wood veneer pieces from MK's shop, Some Assemblage Required. I really like how these look. I think they're really pretty. And so those are going to go on this layout as well, just as an added um, texture and added interest. Now I did pull out my Liquitex gold ink and I am applying that over a couple of these pieces on the chipboard, and this dries really fast as well. This is bright gold Liquitex acrylic ink that I'm adding, and I like how that looks. Now I am considering adding some of that to the florals, and so I decided to go ahead and do that. It's a little bit translucent, so you still see the wood grain, but the gold kind of just gives it a little added sparkle, and I like that, the way that that looks. So I decided to go ahead and do that on these three flowers that I'm placing, and I think that looks really pretty. Using a fine tip paintbrush to do that. You could also, if you have paint pens would, works really well on this wood veneer. I didn't bother to get my paint pens out. I just, because I had my Liquitex ink sitting there really, um, handy. And also the pens are going to give a much more of a full coverage look. No transparency really, because the acrylic paint pens are just that, they're paint. So um, this is still considered an ink, so there is some transparency to it. So I'm liking how that's looking. I'm just going to go ahead and do that last one up at the top. And I think that's really pretty. I will put links down below so that you can check out the products that I'm using from Some Assemblage Required. These are adhesive backed, so you just peel the back off and stick it on your page. They do come with a mask right over the top, so you do have to remove the masking. But you can also use that masking to your benefit when you are painting stuff, as so that you keep the paint out of the areas you don't want the paint in. Now, you didn't get to see me remove the masking on screen, but I did do that before I put the acrylic ink on there. So I am just pulling the backs off. Oh, you know what? This is where I realized that my paper is upside down. All of the words are upside down on it. So I'm using my Creative Memories multi-purpose tool, which I've had for ages, you guys. And I am having to lift everything off of the center and flip it over. Luckily, it's all covered by the photograph and the layering that I've got there. So that was a calculated risk. If you have, if I wouldn't worry about it if it's going to mess up your paper and the placement. You can see that it did mess up my paper here, but I was able to kind of just put it back together with a little bit of glue. And then I put the one corner that had a little torn bit on it. I just added a little bit more of that green watercolor and it blends right in. You can't even tell. But like I said, if it's going to mess up your background paper, I would not do that. Um, but I knew I'd be able to cover it with the photos again, and so I was okay with it. That is it, you guys. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you have enjoyed the Kit Conspiracy series. I do have a couple more layouts coming for you. Don't forget to go check out the shop for these products if you're interested in those. And there is a link down below to MK's channel as well. I'm not sure if she's got a bonus layout today or not, but it is quite possible she does. Thanks so much for watching. If you enjoyed this one, hit the thumbs up and subscribe if you're not subscribed. I will see you guys again real soon with another Kit Conspiracy video or our new series, Wood Grain and Winter. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.